We present ShapeFormer, a probabilistic model for shape generation and completion. Given a partial point cloud, we first locally encode it to a sparse set of discrete latent features. Conditioned on it, we iteratively sample the latent features of the possible complete shapes from the distribution predicted by ShapeFormer. Then we decode these features into deep implicit functions, from which the surface mesh can be reconstructed. 3D models are usually reconstructed from sensory data or created through 3D modeling software. However, both approaches require massive labor to produce enough input and may cost hours to obtain a single shape. We want to efficiently synthesize shapes with the help of data prior conditioned on the insufficient input, such as a 3D scan of a sports car or an incomplete chair with missing parts. The challenge is to guarantee the shape's plausibility and keep the input structure simultaneously. Even worse, there is often a distribution of complete shapes corresponding to the input. Estimating such distribution is crucial for creative design and efficient 3D acquisition. Previously, global approaches encode the shape with a single latent vector, losing some input structures. However, due to the simplicity of the representation, they can be easily combined with generative models such as GAN for distribution estimation. On the other hand, local methods represent the shape with a latent grid, achieving higher reconstruction accuracy. But it is unclear how to build a generative model for these latent grids, which are too complex to model. Meanwhile, pixel grids can be generated with autoregressive models by sampling each pixel sequentially in raster scan order. Notice that the pixel colors are quantized and their values are picked from a learned color dictionary. This compression makes distribution estimation much easier. Similarly, we can also compress shapes in this manner. For example, a square can be divided into local cells, and for each cell, we can use a word to describe its geometry. By flattening the grid, a shape becomes a sentence of these words. In this way, we can also use language model to generate shapes word by word. However, transformers cannot handle the cubic complexity of the 3D grids. Instead, we only encode the point cloud to the non-empty sparse features, resulting in a much shorter sequence. We then quantize the features into words, and a reconstructed mesh is obtained by decoding the word sequence. By flattening the quantized words, we get a sequence of integer pairs describing both the values and location of local geometry. We name this representation as vector quantized deep implicit functions, or VQDIF. Compared with latent grid, VQDIF has a much smaller size, both in terms of sequence length and bit size per element. With the VQDIF representation, we achieve shape completion by first mapping the partial point cloud to VQDIF sequence through encoding and quantization. Then, conditioned on the partial sequence, ShapeFormer predicts a distribution of complete sequences, from which multiple complete shapes can be generated. Next, we compare our method with prior works on high-ambiguity scans. The deterministic methods only predict a blurred-out shape, while ShapeFormer can produce multiple valid completions. Even for low-ambiguity scans, our methods achieve better quality. Here are the results on part-level incompleteness. Our method can also be applied to real-world scans, and it can reflect the scan uncertainty in the sampled results. ShapeFormer can generalize well to scans of unseen categories as well. Thanks for your attention.